Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, so let's just dive in and let's start off with this chart here. So as you can tell, we are looking at the US dollar chart over on TradingView. We have been watching the US dollar for a little bit of time, and we started to really kind of see a major sell-off recently. Is this going to ignite the next major bull run? It very well could possibly do so, but we need to see a significant breaking point for the US dollar. I think that the biggest key here, on the weekly at least, is breaking down below 100 and almost 9. It's 108.75, which would be this green 20 weekly EMA. After that, we really kind of target some major lows, going all the way back down to about like 104 and then 98. So we are watching this chart very closely. It has been overbought for a while, so this could be the start that ignites the major bull run. So this is very exciting. Now, why am I talking about the US dollar? Why are we talking about this in regards to XRP? Well, today we actually have a very interesting topic, and that is, can XRP be the new global reserve currency? So first off, talking about reserve currencies and talking about the world around them, we know down here since 1450, there have been 6 major world reserve currency periods, and they do outline them all here. And the United States has been the reserve currency since 1921, and we do see this quote back down here. If you notice, the average currency span is 94 years. The US dollar presently has been the world's reserve currency for roughly 99 years. So we are overdue for a new reserve currency, and have been for the last 5 years. Now, the reason why we are talking about this is because we are already kind of seeing a major push away from the US dollar. We have been reporting on this for well over, I'd say, half a year, maybe even longer. It's been around since January that we've been talking about this. I do think that it is only a matter of time before the US dollar does get dethroned. In fact, we've even seen a lot of major articles going all the way back to March talking about this. This is from Bloomberg. Dethroning King Dollar won't be an easy feat. And to me personally, I don't think that it will be that hard of a feat either. I think that's kind of a neutral one. I think that it really kind of starts with all of the major central banks around the world moving away from the US dollar, and why wouldn't they want to? Think about it. Why do you think Russia moved away from the US dollar? We were sanctioning them. We were controlling them by a financial weapon, aka the US dollar and SWIFT. These nations are tired of playing by the rules, and the rules are made by the US. So why wouldn't all of these major nations want to move away from the US dollar? It is the dominant right now currency, but I do think that that is changing, and I think that we will see it happen within the next, I'd argue, I mean, we could see it in months, it could take a year, it could maybe take 2 years, but we are seeing things move extremely fast around this. But now we ask the question, could a currency like XRP become the next global reserve currency? Shout out to Molly Elmore 22 over on Twitter. By the way, if you guys aren't following her, I highly advise you do so. I think that she's still a very small followed account. I think, yeah, she has like 4.6K followers. The information and the threads that she does post over on Twitter are very insightful, and they are very interesting. And I think that a lot of them really kind of talk about what's happening and gives us all a warning that, listen, wake up. Things are moving fast around the world. You won't see it on the mainstream media news because, again, in the US, why would they tell you, hey, the US dollar is about to lose its reserve currency, title? They're not going to report on that. But we do see what is a reserve currency? With much focus on the problems resulting from a strong dollar, the question arises, could a currency like XRP become the next global reserve currency? Now, if you guys didn't know what a reserve currency is, here you guys have the full-on breakdown. Now, I believe, and I'm pretty sure that we've talked a little bit about this in a video before, really kind of breaking down what a reserve currency fully is. Now, in this entire thread, she does go in depth on how the US dollar has come to be the global reserve currency, and then she even breaks it down a little bit more in depth, which I think is great. If you guys do want to learn more, like I said, go check out this thread on Molly's Twitter. But what we want to talk about is what the BRICS are doing. So really down here is where things get a little bit interesting. So could nations like those in the BRICS alliance simply issue a new reserve currency? Yes, they have the ability to choose a different currency to use for trade. And in fact, they've already been kind of moving around and away from the US dollar for a while around trade. Recently, we did see them trying to get into crypto, which a lot of people did suspect that it could be XRP, which they are going to utilize for cross-border payments as well as trade settlements. And we do see N2 store their assets, and any currency could be used as a payment currency as long as both parties agree. Again, this is where the biggest moment happens. Essentially a Bretton Woods 3 situation where we do see a full agreement to move away from the US dollar and start to utilize a different currency, which could be the new reserve currency. Now, reserve currencies are generally held by financial institutions and banks in large quantities and are believed to be stable in value. The euro, the yen, and the Chinese yuan are all used to store value. The IMF created a reserve currency called the SDR, which we have talked about in the past. It isn't used as a payment currency, but it's an asset that equates to value, aka money. The IMF can use the SDR to issue loans, and members of the IMF can use the SDR to store value. And then we do see Bitcoin could be a reserve currency, but nations would have to agree to support an asset they have no control over. Bitcoin solves the Triffin dilemma, problem that forces a nation issuing the global reserve currency to harm its export business. By the way, I think that this is actually a very good topic to talk about, and it's about, could a cryptocurrency become the global reserve currency? Technically, it could, and it would be beneficial. Think about it. If you have a global reserve currency that's controlled by no one, and it's deflationary, then ultimately all of the issues that do arise around finance really kind of get swept under the rug. I think that utilizing a decentralized currency that nobody has control over would be the biggest key to success around finance. Now, obviously, yes, we will have CBDCs, we will have things that are pegged to that new reserve currency. Things could work pretty well around that. A lot of people have questions on how that would work. The reserve currency would most likely be backed by gold. There's a lot of discussions here. We could really go on and on about this all day long and really kind of, think about what could happen or speculate on if XRP could be backed by gold, this, that. There's a lot of things to really kind of talk about within that. But nonetheless, we do see alternatively, it's more likely that if the global trust in fiat currencies collapse, gold would again become the reserve asset used to price goods via the global trade. Gold has been trusted for centuries and is difficult to mine, unlike US dollar reserves. Again, the biggest key here would be having that deflationary aspect to it. You don't control it, you can't print more of it, all that kind of stuff. And we do see, could XRP become a reserve currency? My understanding is that XRP is the best used as a currency to support transactions across borders, which includes global trade. If two nations agreed to an oil transaction, one buying from another selling, and the oil was priced in gold, XRP could be used to settle the transaction. There has been speculation that XRP could be revalued to a higher price to support large transactions done between nations. By the way, this is what I actually think will happen eventually. I think that XRP will become a major bridge, and the value of XRP would have to be much, much higher in order to be that global bridge between CBDCs, between major nations within trade. I mean, anything could really happen here. If you wanted to speculate a little bit more on that, we could go in depth on examples and why XRP essentially would be the best beneficial currency to utilize within that aspect. But I don't think I really need to. If you guys have been a follower of the channel, if you guys have been looking into XRP for a while, you probably are already aware why XRP would be perfect for that situation. And we do see, but if there was a major market event like a currency collapse, the situation would be difficult or different. That could call for a Bretton Woods 3 or new Plaza Accord agreement, and XRP could get repriced in that scenario along with other sovereign currencies. And this is also why I say, we want to hold our XRP in places where they can't touch it. Cold storage would be the biggest key here, because if this is the case, if we do have a Bretton Woods 3 agreement where we do see XRP being repriced and XRP is now a global reserve currency, and it's being utilized for major bridges, things like that, then the value of it could essentially surge. But again, how likely is this scenario? We don't know. We can't really put a percentage, likeliness on this. We could only say what if, could, all of that. But we do see there could be a multiple global reserve currencies used for trade, but historically, after people lose faith in fiat currencies, they revert back to the core asset of gold. My hypothesis, we are moving back to a world that centers around gold, as it's most likely to be trusted by nations. Key currencies like the dollar and the yuan could be revalued relative to gold. XRP could be used to settle trade between nations, function like the US dollar did back when it was pegged to gold. If you found this thread insightful, please follow me me and retweet the first tweet to share with others. And I agree, definitely go check her out. By the way, if anybody wants to find this easier, I will retweet it real quick. If you guys do want to go check out my Twitter and Cash Official, you guys are more than welcome to, and you'll be able to find this. But I do want to say we could have XRP pegged to gold and utilized for trade between nations, aka the bridge currency. That could be a possibility, and we've actually talked about this a little bit as well. A lot of people think that, I know Matt Hamilton is one that disagrees with the idea that XRP will ever be backed by gold. It's possible. I mean, the US dollar at some point in time was. Now, of course, XRP is different than the US dollar in the sense on the US dollar has, for the most part, been centralized. XRP is decentralized. But if its value is repriced, if there's an agreement on XRP, and if there's a time where we do see a lot of the escrow being confiscated or the escrow being utilized by a government entity, there's just so much that we could talk about within this scenario, this, make-believe scenario, if you will, that could happen. Nobody really knows for certain. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, 100% XRP is going to do this, that, whatever. No. I've seen a lot of YouTubers specifically talking down on what could happen with XRP, but nobody knows. All we know right now is around the US dollar, we will see a new reserve currency. It's not a, if, it's a when. We have been overdue for 5 years. When we look around the world, Australia pushing ahead with central bank digital currency. You go over here, Egypt moving forward on a central bank digital currency to move away from a US dollar. By the way, Egypt is one of the biggest trade partners of China and Saudi Arabia. And if you guys didn't know about this already, Saudi Arabia has been moving away from the US dollar for a while. The US dollar, or the US and Saudi Arabia, drift apart. Again, you could see everything around this. With 17.2% of global exports, Saudi Arabia is the world's largest crude oil exporter. If they pull out of the US dollar, by the way, then it's game over. Since 1979, the Saudi kingdom has been a U.S. proxy against Iran. In the past few years, the U.S. has boosted shale oil production and built up its strategic petroleum reserves. In the 1990s, the U.S. imported an estimated 2 million barrels per day. In 2021, this figure fell to mere 500,000 barrels per day, a fall of 75%. And then down here, Saudi has been dissatisfied with President Joe Biden's policies in the Middle East, so they are moving away from the U.S. dollar. They have plans to move away from the US dollar. In fact, down here, Biden's recent Middle East tour was an abject failure. He failed to achieve his principal objective, get Saudi Arabia to increase oil production. Most recently, the White House has accused OPEC Plus of aligning with Russia after this grouping of oil producers agreed to deep oil production cuts. Again, we are seeing a lot of movement and discussions around China with Saudi Arabia. If Saudi Arabia is gonna pull out of the petroleum dollar deal, if that is the case, then guess what? The U.S. dollar is going to collapse. That's how large of an agreement this actually is. And I will say this, as we really kind of look at things happening around the BRICS, if Saudi Arabia joins the BRICS and starts working with the BRICS nations, it's end game. And again, when I really kind of look at everything happening around the world, I think that with Egypt moving towards, other currencies and away from the US dollar, it's really given us a sign on what's to come. Even over here, Japan's international payment system will test plastic cards for central bank digital currency. Over here, China's yuan hit a 15-year low today. China's central bank already told state banks weeks ago to prepare to sell dollars and buy yuan to prop up the local currency. Japan and China are looking to defend currencies. This is how something breaks in the financial system. We are going to see one of the biggest moves around the financial system in the history of the financial system. Things are moving rapidly, and it is all centered on the BRICS nations as well as a few other ones. But for the most part, we are seeing a big move away from the US dollar. The entire transition around the monetary system is happening before our eyes, and I do believe that we will see a new reserve currency. And could it be XRP? Could it be Bitcoin? Could it be this, that, whatever? We don't know. It very well could be. Anything is possible. But we need to, pay attention to things happening, make sure that we are on top of things. I don't write off anything. See, the thing is that you see a lot of people out there that say, there's no way that this could happen. There's no way that this could happen for XRP. There's just absolutely no way things like this are going to happen. I never say never, right? I believe that there could be, a small percentage chance. There could be a small chance of multiple things happening around Ripple and XRP, because again, the potential here is truly endless, especially with XRP. A lot of people think that Ripple is XRP and XRP is Ripple, but it's not the case. XRP by itself has a very substantial value tied to it. And I don't look at it as, okay, what's the price in US dollars for XRP? No, I look at 1 XRP equals 1 XRP. That's it. That's final. And again, like I said, the upside potential long term here could be substantial. And could we see XRP being repriced much higher? 100%. We could actually see retail be priced out of XRP. And I'm not saying that is like, I'm not saying that for like clickbait or anything like that. I'm just saying at some point in time, if XRP is going to become a reserve currency and become part of the financial system, which a lot of people do suspect, then we could see retail be fully priced out. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys have more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.